At last. Have you got Sabrina's spear?
Not only that, I've got all 3 artifacts.
You won't regret it. Let's do some magic!
She died here.
And pissed and shat as she did.
Evil place. You can feel it in the air. Those candles don't help any either.
They've gone mad. Someone said the bitch died a martyr and now the common folk burn candles for her.
I have to observe this place from a distance.
During the execution, I was on that hill. I'll show you.
Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings, Chapter 2. This is the Blood Curse. This quest here, we will free Henselt from the curse that he accidentally brings forth at the beginning of the chapter when he killed the priest on that stone. Wait, no. I don't think that was it. No, that wasn't quite it, actually. That's what summoned all the wraiths to the battlefield. That's something else. Sorry. Henselt accidentally got himself cursed when he killed a sorceress. Alright, that picture there, that's going to be important. You'll see why. Thing is, you have to make that symbol on the ground.
Are you concerned for your feet?
Your Majesty.
What happens is you have an overhead view and you tell King Henselt here where to go based on the objects in the area. So if you're looking at this video because you needed help, chances are you either A, didn't know about the grimoire that Deathmold gave you, or B, you can't figure out your relative position needed to create that symbol. One, I'm not actually looking down on anyone for doing that. This was honestly confusing enough. When you first see what you have to do, you're just kind of like, wait, I gotta do what now?
It'll be a pleasure to put my spear in her.
Remember to stab her in.
Look, I don't blame anyone for needing help figuring this out. I needed help figuring this out when I first did it. Let's face it. This is... I mean, it's not the most obviously mentioned thing. Especially that grimoire. Deathmold just kind of gives it to you, and then you come back to it so much later.
Then I take over. Spectres might appear during the exorcism.
So...
Might or will?
I did something really handy here, is I overlaid the image in the grimoire over top of the video for the next, like a minute and a half.
I'll guide you.
So the symbol is there as you're telling Henselt which object to move to. It might make it easier to kind of get your bearings. So yeah, you just tell him where to... Tell him to go to each of those locations to make that goat skull using the kind of connected dots overlaid on top of the skull. And he starts off on the bottom of the left horn. So you see I'm making the second... So first you go up, then you go all the way down to the bottom, then you have to go all the way back up to the top of the right.
Now go towards
come down to the bottom of the right horn, go to the top of the skull on the right, then go over to that part on the left, and then go back to your starting position. A little confusing, especially when you don't know the area itself, and
now towards the burnt tree.
When you don't realize Deathmold's grimoire just has that picture and nothing else in it. And of course, you may not realize what those objects are from afar.
Find the Raven's
when
corpse,
you inspected the area in the Lost Lambs quest, I believe you can expect some of those items lying around, but I think some of them appear only for this part of the quest. And I think you can run around this area and inspect those things beforehand, and just so you know what they are.
Go towards the pixie ring, Your Majesty. Sire, form a large, even circle at a good
So that's the most confusing part of this quest, is realizing...
It's turned out beautifully.
Like, Deathmold's grimoire has that picture. That picture corresponds to the path Henselt has to take. And then you gotta figure out which objects correspond to what point on the goat stick figure, basically.
Stay in the circle, Your Majesty.
The powder reeks of dwarven dung.
So really, once you do that, you go down and you basically finish off the ritual. Problem is, you have to fight a bunch of wraiths. I don't know if you have to kill a certain number of them, or you have to survive for a certain period of time. Unfortunately, I do not know that. It might be either or.
It's begun.
Like, it might be kill 10 wraiths or live for 3 minutes.
They're scared of ghosts, as we all are.
And whichever condition is met first, they might just finish. Like, I
Calm
don't.
down, Your Majesty. We're
I don't know
protected by
that.
the magic runes. The ghosts
Main
won't get
thing
past
is,
the barrier.
you need to stay
I'm not afraid
alive
of people, but those plowing creatures have
and
begun
continue to
bother
fight
me.
off the wraiths.
You're safe if you
But mostly
within
stay
the
alive.
runes.
What should I do?
When the sorceress calls your name, you have to show
I
mercy
mean,
and
you
end her
don't
suffering
have
with the
time
spirit.
to use a potion before.
Broken the circle. Spectres could get through.
You might have time
What shall we
to
do?
drink a potion before you tell Hensel, like before you start that part of the ritual. But I didn't.
I'll take care of them. You finish the exorcism, Your Majesty.
So I had some Spectre oil lying around from the beginning of the game, actually. When the game starts, you get like 2 or 3, or I think it might have been 4 of every oil. And I didn't really use the oils until parts like this came up. From what I remember, the problem about wraiths is that they can attack you kind of without being fully kind of phased by your attacks. And they can also dodge, which, I mean, isn't bad for enemy AI. It makes them more challenging, but they can kill you really fast. It might just be because I have really crappy armor on. The armor I'm using is the armor that Henselt gives you before you cross over to Vergen. It has like plus 17 armor or something. I don't think it's the greatest. It's not the best piece of armor you can get in Chapter 2. The best would probably be the dark armor that I don't know what it's called because I never bothered to get it.
It worked.
Are you sure?
All I can say for sure is that a dwarf can pass between a troll's legs, even on tiptoe. But I think it went well.
Good. For me and for you. But all the worse for Edern.
You owe your freedom from the curse to Saskia's generosity. You should send a delegation to thank her, Your Majesty.
I'll thank her in person once you disperse the fog of spectres from the battlefield.
That'll be much harder.
I have faith in you, and faith can move mountains.
Funny you say that. I need an artifact symbolizing faith.
Yes, Deathmole told me. I'll give you the medallion. First, I must have a drink. Come to my tent. I'll roll out my best wine. You deserve it.